Hello, and thank you for tuning in today. And happy Father's Day to all of the fathers that might be watching today. Your hard work and your sacrifice does not go unnoticed. You are currently watching the Self-Improvement Sunday or Skill Building Sunday Drawing Group with me, Jason Leeser, where we sit around and we draw and we work on different skills. This is being live streamed on June 19th at 1 p.m. I'm your host, Jason Leeser, as I previously mentioned. If this is working for you, please let us know in the comments and in the chats. Make sure that my audio is on because sometimes I forget. So yeah, please let us know that this is working for you. And welcome to Guy Aitchison's Reinventing the Tattoo community, where tattooers, apprentices, collectors, and the curious are encouraged to join in these live streams, real world events, to share and inspire and ultimately create better art and tattoos together. We beam out nearly every day and with your help have evolved into a quality network of amazing live and on-demand tattoo and art shows that have all been receiving rave reviews. You can find us on both the app stores, the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store, or maybe you're beaming in from YouTube or Facebook, or maybe you're catching one of the replays on the Roku channel, reinventingthetattoo.com/Roku. Or maybe you're listening to the podcast in one of the usual places, such as Apple or Spotify. But you can always get the latest event schedule and notifications so that you don't miss watching your favorite shows at reinventingthetattoo.com, which actually links out to everywhere. Once again, if this is working, please let us know in the comments and the chats. And hey, tag a friend who loves tattoos. We're always trying to get new people involved. We always encourage people to tune into some of our weekly staple shows, starting on Sundays at 1 p.m. with me, Jason Leeser, in the Skill Building Sunday Drawing Group. This is directly followed on Mondays at 9 a.m. with Drawing for Tattooers with James Wisdom, where we discuss some of the basic drawing techniques and strategies that most tattoo artists use. And as we all know, sometimes you have to revisit those fundamental drawing techniques in order to really progress to that next level. That's followed on Mondays at 11 a.m. with the Tattoo Weekly Show, hosted by Lauren Gregory, Jake Meeks, and Gabe Ripley. And that is followed on Mondays at 9 p.m. with a subscribers exclusive drawing group with Guy Aitchison himself. And that is available for people that subscribe to the Reinventing the Tattoo canon or have purchased one of the learning packages that comes with your purchase. You might as well take advantage of it. I can tell you from personal experience, having done it for over a year now, you will see a noticeable difference in your skill set and in the quality of work that you put out. All of that is followed on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. with Ricardo Sertivant's drawing group. Ricardo's a very good friend of mine, extremely talented artist, and one hell of a tattooer. And we discuss different types of life and philosophy, drawing tricks and tips, different types of painting and, tattoo strategies to go through and execute some of these things. We kind of never really know where that's going to go, but it's always enlightening to tune in and watch that. That's followed on Wednesdays at noon with the Tattoo Now show hosted by Gabe Ripley, where we go through and discuss some of the more business aspect behind being a tattoo artist or running a tattoo studio. That's followed on Thursdays at 6 p.m. with the Tattoo Collecting podcast hosted by Fawn Baker and Jordan Ruckus, where different people can beam in and talk about their tattoo collections and how they've acquired and chosen the artists to add to those collections. We have a number of special upcoming real-world events that we would like to let you know about. Starting at the end of July, 29th through 31st, Reinventing the Tattoo will be live from the Rubber City Tattoo Invitational in Akron, Ohio, hosted by Tony Urbanek. It's going to be an absolutely incredible show. It always is because obviously Tony's involved. Right now, if I'm correct, and I may be wrong, but I do believe we will have the first ever Tattoo Machine Olympics being held. Yes, that's right. You heard correctly. Tattoo Machine Olympics. I'll let you figure out more about that. It's a good little teaser, but it's going to be very entertaining. That's followed August 26th through 28th. Reinventing the Tattoo will be live from Hell City in Phoenix, Arizona. And that's followed October 21st through 23rd with the Richmond Tattoo Arts and Music Festival, hosted by Jesse Smith of Loose Screw Tattoo. It's going to be an absolutely incredible show. Their lineup right now is looking insane. So definitely going to want to check out that one. I'd like to go through and take a second to thank some of the people that make all of these shows possible, starting out with Raw Pigments, rawpigments.co, an ink company that's tapping into the source. They are vegan friendly, acrylic free, made from the highest quality, light, fast tattoo pigments that are currently available. This stuff is like the cutting edge and leading edge in tattoo pigment worldwide. They are EU certified and licensed, and they are incredible. I've started picking some up and slowly incorporating those into my lineup to the point that all of the normal colors I would usually reach for have really kind of started to collect dust because this is really all I'm using now. It's completely changed the way that I tattoo for the better. Highly recommend you pick up some Raw Pigments, which you can find at rawpigments.co. WorldTattooEvents.com, the largest and most comprehensive resource for tattoo events worldwide. They're constantly updating because, yes, there are still some conventions and events that are getting rescheduled. So if you want the latest and greatest, most up-to-date information on tattoo conventions or events worldwide, take a look at worldtattooevents.com. Followed by Dermalize Pro, also known as Dermalize in the rest of the world. Thank you, international copyright laws. Protect your art. If you're still using plastic wrap to wrap up your clients, maybe it's time that you pick it up a notch. Maybe it's time to take that next step. Take a look at Dermalize Pro. There's tons of reviews out there about it. It was developed by wound care specialists. It's great. I've started to use that for a lot of my aftercare with some great results. Highly take a look at Dermalize Pro. TattooNow.com, technology for tattooers, the leading edge in SEO and professional development for tattooers of all levels, and they're now accepting new clients. So if you really wanted to know how to really start attracting those clients that you really want to tattoo, reach out to TattooNow.com. They will help you go through and create targeted branding and advertising to really start getting a lot of those people that you want to tattoo. And of course, this would not be Reinventing the Tattoo without a very special personal thank you and professional thank you to Guy Aitchison, the founder and inspiration behind Reinventing the Tattoo. You can find him at guyaitchison.com, where you can pick up a copy of his Biomech Encyclopedia, some of his DVDs. He's got some custom coil machines for you machine collectors out there. Very limited run. They will not be making any more, and they only have a few left. So if I were you, I would go through, I would grab one of those while you still can. He also has a number of original oil paintings for sale, fine art prints, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Go take a look at guyaitchison.com. Would also like to take a minute to thank two of our affiliates, the Apprenticeship Diaries, hosted by Amy Nichols, and the Fireside Tattoo Network, hosted by Jake Meeks. If you are wondering how to break into the tattoo industry, if you're just starting your tattoo journey to become, a tattoo artist, take a look at the Apprenticeship Diaries with Amy Nichols. That will outline for you and give you some insight as far as what to look for in a good apprenticeship, what to look for in an apprenticeship that seems a little bit sketchy and that might not be very beneficial to you. There's also tons of different art talk in there and things and recommendations that you're going to want to pay attention to really start you down that path the right way. If you are already a tattoo artist and you are looking for tips and tricks on how to go through and take your art to the next level, take a look at the Fireside Tattoo Network hosted by Jake Meeks. I personally have watched just about every single podcast or video they've put up. It's really insightful. They do great interviews with a lot of very influential artists. It's an absolutely wonderful show filled with absolute gold as far as tattooing is concerned. Go through, take a look at the Fireside Tattoo Network. Once again, we ask that if you like the content on this show, make sure that you go through and hit those like and subscribe buttons, post a positive review on our channel and help us get the word out. You know, recommend us out to a couple of colleagues or friends of yours that love tattoos. If you would like to host a Reinventing the Tattoo event, or maybe you want to become a sponsor of the community, maybe you're looking for an artwork or a tattoo critique, you can always email management@reinventingthetattoo.com, and we can definitely help facilitate any of that. So at this point in time, I'd like to go through and say welcome to the show. Welcome everyone. And we've got a special guest on with us today who I will be introducing in just a second. Let me switch this over to there. Wonderful. And yeah, welcome. We've got Forrest with us today. How's it going, Forrest?
Hey, what's up, Jason?
Hey, not much, man. Feel free to restart your video, man.
Looks like it's blocking me from doing that. Do you have to like
Is it?
allow that?
Let's see if I can change that for you. There we go.
Awesome.
Wonderful. Hey, welcome, Forrest. Some of you may know Forrest from Tattoo Smart, one of the best products in the world that has completely changed my life. I swear, I think I've spent more money on that than I have on like birthday presents for family members in the past year. Don't tell them.
Present to yourself.
Don't tell them. Oh, it's a great present. Oh, it definitely has saved my butt quite a few times. Yeah, absolutely great stuff. So how's it going, man? What's going on?
Pretty good. Not too much. Just taking it easy this Sunday. I'm about to trying to figure out my Apple password so I can download this app to work on the drawing, a little handy reference tool. But yeah, I'm excited to be here and hanging out. I think the last time I did an event with you guys might have, because I've done like tattoo collecting podcasts quite a bit. I guess it was at Hell City. I saw Fawn and them with the mobile setup. So it's cool to see them like sort of making that jump to conventions. But I'm just glad to be back hanging out.
Well, we're always happy to have you here, man. You're always welcome. You know, yeah, feel free, jump in, tune in, you know, let us know what we can do. I'm going to be working on another watercolor painting in just a minute. I'm a huge advocate of always keeping your hands busy. I tend to go kind of crazy if I don't. So I'm always constantly like painting and drawing. You know, some of it gets finished, some of it doesn't. I've got like stacks of original artwork just hanging out around here, you know, stuff that I've painted and drawn that, you know, may or may not ever find a home. You know, some of it's not finished. You know, I started working on this one, I think last October.
Oh, really?
Still haven't finished it.
Those are really cool. I'm surprised you have to try to stay busy. It seems like you're always up to something, doing a bunch of things.
Dude, I very true, but this is like drawing and painting is kind of the way that I like find my Zen state. You know, it's like where I can really sit down and like let my subconscious process a lot of things. And that's why I really started to get back into oil painting, was because you can just kind of like zone out for hours, right?
Yeah.
You throw something on in the background, you listen to it, and then you just paint. And next thing you know, you look up and it's 4 o'clock in the morning. You have to be awake in 6 hours. And you're like, wait a second, what just happened? This is no good. I'm going to need a lot of coffee tomorrow. So time runs away from you, man. But there's always projects that I like getting into, especially art projects. But for me, it comes down to prioritizing, right? Because like there's always stuff that I have to get done, like mowing the lawn, doing laundry, Because I mean, who wants to go to a stinky tattoo artist, right?
Yeah.
So there's definite priorities there, but I always try to find time to draw and paint, whether digitally, if I'm, hanging out at the studio, if I have a cancellation, I'll grab my iPad, man, and I'll be like, cool, let's see what Tattoo Smart has that's new. Oh, I don't have that one yet. Let me buy that one. I'm not kidding. I've actually done that like once a week, I think for 2 months straight. It happens, but I've got more Procreate brush sets now than I know what to do with. I had to start taking some off because I didn't feel like scrolling through that long of a list.
Yeah, so that's where it gets tough. Like, I wish Procreate kind of had a better organization to that, because like the one day I think I was sitting waiting for a flight, and I just started organizing by like style and then alphabetizing within that, just because it's so crazy to scroll through those sometimes. But at least, like you're saying, some of those packs at least kind of takes the thinking out of it. You can just see what looks interesting that day and grab some reference and get to work. I'm not like an artist by trade, but I love like messing around in Procreate, especially because like you're saying, you just zone in and time starts flying by. Like, it's great to have something like that to sort of take the thinking out and just really focus and work on something. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, like I might be able to give you a quick little. Let's see if I can hook this up real quick and show off a little bit my Procreate brush collection. Let's see. Pull this up here. Let's do 4 auto, and we'll flip. There we go. So we'll just shrink that. So yeah, starting all the way down at the bottom, right? I've got like master backup sets of different brushes that, it's like, okay, these are my most used. Nothing can ever happen to these. So I've got a couple of those. A lot of these bottom ones are kind of stock. And then you start to get into things like protoplast, right? Lady fingers, pile of hands, great head, 300. I've got some other random brush sets that I found online that were pretty cool for like textures.
Yeah, totally.
Like the Van Gogh one is super cool. That gives you like that really thick impasto, like oil painting kind of look.
Yeah.
But it's digital. So you can mimic that kind of texture digitally. It's I first came across that and I was like, what is this glory? This is amazing.
Yeah, those like natural type ones are awesome. Like, to be able to replicate like so well, like it's really cool to see artists sort of make that jump, like bring the real world into your iPad like that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because it's something that when you're working with digital, there are some times where you can kind of tell that something was done digitally. But when you start to work with those natural medium brushes, that's when those lines really start to get blurred.
Yeah, totally.
Because you almost can't tell.
Yeah. There's just a big set. We have the spit shade set, and like that's kind of my job in some ways, is to like find stuff people are making with our products. And like there's times where I'm like, I honestly cannot tell if this is like digital or legit painting, which is crazy that it's like that. You got to have a trained eye to be able to tell the difference at times.
Yep. Got the spit shade set right here. So I think the 3 or 4 that I use the most though are comic book inking, sketching. Comic book inking was one I found online. Nice. Sketching, which was pretty much stock, airbrushing, and then inking with the thumbs up right there. That's this is like my base go-to for like all of my most common brushes. I've got a couple of sketchers, some like dot tools, stipple tools. I basically duplicated different brushes and dragged them all in there. And then spit shade set.
Oh, nice. You can pull everything you like into one pack.
Yeah. And into like, my favorite brushes.
Yeah.
And then that way I know that as long as I'm in that, and everything I have is based off of this being the central brush set. So I know, okay, if I need to find my Japanese set, I know that's pretty close to the top above my inking brush set. Or if I need fur, I know that's going to be like 4 or 5 below my inking brush set. So everything centers around that.
Yeah.
But yeah, snakes, serpents, you know, I kind of categorize them based off of, you know, what they deal with. Lettering, BJ Betts.
Yeah.
Dave Tavenaugh was selling a few of them. I know he sold I think it was Battle Damage.
Yeah.
Through Tattoo Smart.
Yeah, exactly. And then those have like a lot of my favorite natural medias in it as well. Like a lot of my favorite like pencils and just sort of shit like that. Dave's like great at it. I'm not sure if it was like him and Russ sort of tag teaming it, because I know that's sort of what BJ and Russ did. Like he'd like tell him all the attributes of his favorite like real life pens and stuff for calligraphy, and then Russ was like in the settings and Procreate just matching it until they got like that real life fit in Procreate. So I know Dave's great at it as well, like making those like natural media type brushes available in his sets.
Yeah, man. Yeah, he came out with a couple of stamp sets not too long ago as well, called Dojo Weapons. And these are just some of his more popular designs. You know, great bases. I think I used one of these as like a base for this little Hanya mask I got to tattoo yesterday.
Oh shit, nice.
You know, nothing crazy. You know, nothing crazy. You know, some dragon claws and spots and stuff. A couple of little waves.
Nice.
I'm personally, I'm not too crazy about the waves in this one. I prefer the where was it? It was the wave set that Grimy did.
Yeah. That
was wild. That changed my life.
Oh yeah, I think that's it right there. Yeah, because I really love like the bodysuit ones they did, because it was a lot of collabs between like Grime and Luke from Seventh Son. Like both of them just sort of tag teamed that. We have like a podcast on it on our YouTube, and it's really cool to hear about like their process going into it, because with it being such like a wave focused thing, like I guess Luke had done so many, but like they start to get so similar that to have it like just be a waves piece and then have them be like so different, like it's cool to hear about like sort of the mental exercise they went through to have to create that. But yeah, I've heard a lot of people say really great things about that one.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, you have bodysuit templates in here. So if you wanted to create like a work of art, you know, a freehand painting or whatever, you can grab one of those, throw some waves in it, and you could literally sketch up a full Japanese wave back piece in a heartbeat. Yeah. All you need to do is like smush it in certain areas to get it fit the size of the back, and boom.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really cool range of like stuff they do, like to be able to, like you're saying, fit it how you need, or like just even the different styles of waves. Like, because I mean, Grimes are like pretty, like, I don't know, they're just really unique in that way. But then like to have that range all the way to sort of the American traditional versus like the Japanese, like it's really cool to see the experts like sort of put it all into one pack, and you can see that range and versatility and usage and stuff. Yeah, I like messing around with that one a lot.
Yeah, I was playing around with a couple of different, you know, making my own for a little while just to create different textures. You know, came out with a couple of cool ones just for like some bumpy, rough textures. Started working off of like referencing a lot of like the texture wheel that Guy has and Reinventing the Tattoo.
Oh shit.
And just going through and like coming out with like different like textures based off of different sections of that wheel. And you know, came out pretty okay. Need a little bit more tweaking on them to make them right, but you know, who knows? Maybe you'll start to see some texture brushes popping up on Tattoo Smart.
Yeah, that's cool. That's one thing that like Russ always talks, or at least like in recently, every time he mentions it, like how there are different types of contrast. Like it's not just like color, like there can be such different kinds of contrast. And I love whenever he talks about like texture contrast, because that's like something that doesn't really I don't know, like come to mind immediately for me. But to be able to play with those like differences for focus or whatever it is you're trying to add that contrast to, it's really like, because like I'm a bio guy too, so it's like I love a good texture. So I hadn't heard of that Guy product with the what is it, like a wheel of contrast, or how's that work exactly?
Yeah, so in his early additions to Reinventing the Tattoo, he actually has like a hand-drawn version of a texture wheel where he goes through and he shows like a difference between like a very rough, bumpy texture, right? And then like a very, very smooth gradient. You know, and it's set up as a wheel. So you can have like very long, almost elongated bumps over on one side, and then you'll have very short, small, round bumps on the other. Then you'll have like super crazy textured at the top and super smooth at the bottom. So as you're moving around, you can say, oh, okay, if I've got this much texture in this area, I need to balance that out with this texture in this area. You know, whether it's, you know, having a very, very rough surface up front, you know, and then a very smooth gradient in the background to really kind of bring focus to that. Or whether, you know, if you want to do smooth in the front, add some texture to the background. You know, these ended up just being like cloudy brushes, but, you know, adding some like rock bump texture to the background can, you know, really kind of set things apart. So
I love seeing a good variety of texture. That's what makes Biomech so cool, is that everyone sort of has their own like thumbprint with it in a way.
Oh, absolutely. You can tell a Marcus Lenhard, you know, Biomech from a Guy Biomech any day of the week.
Yeah, totally.
I'd also like to chime in and say I believe that texture wheel is in the current version of Guy's.
As well?
Yeah, because I've seen it. So it's gotta be. Where else would I have seen it? But yeah, I believe it's in the current version as well, which you can access through the Canon. Or
awesome. Thank you, Medusa, and welcome to today's show. Medusa's been a regular on our show for quite some time. Always value her input. Thank you.
Weird.
I know, right? You're like, I'm on the spotlight now. I don't know if I like this. But yeah, that's just some of the brush collections that I have. So
it sounds like you do a good bit of like sort of testing. Like, I don't know, you already have some similar ones, but you like to see what's new and what's out there and what works for you.
Absolutely, man. Because until you try it, do you really know?
Yeah. It's always going to be something better and newer out there. You gotta be out there testing to find it.
Well, I try not to look at things as far as like better or worse. I try to just say, okay, how is this different? Right? Because when you start to look at things just as being different, you really start to be able to see the advantages to everything. You know, like maybe that Waves app is great, and it's really going to help me improve my waves, and that's going to give me a good baseline to start with. But then from there, I'm going to want to draw my own.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's going to help you get that movement going, so that you can turn around and say, okay, if I like this, I know I can do this now. You know, so it's not that anything is positive or negative. It's just different, and it's finding the positives in that difference. But that's personal philosophy in a nutshell.
That's a good mindset.
Well, I like to think that I have good ideas every now and then. It doesn't happen very often, but when it does, they're usually doozies.
The numbers game. You just got to keep throwing shit at the wall.
Pretty much, yeah.
Have you always been Procreate when it comes to digital design, or is that was that another thing of like testing and seeing what you liked?
I was very and I don't really like to admit this to a whole lot of people, but I was very kind of anti-Procreate when it first came out. I was like, why would I need to use Procreate? I have Photoshop. I mean, yeah, I have to hook my laptop up to a tablet, and I need to have like the right amount of area for that and all this other stuff. But between that, Sketchbook Pro, Manga Studio, Clip Studio Paint, and so Clip Studio was where I first started listening to Russ's lectures.
Gotcha.
Back when he first did that, way back when, and he released his first snake brush set. I was like, man, I was gonna do something like that. What's up? Like, dude stole my thunder, right? And then I started like really getting into it, and I was like, oh no, this is like 9 levels beyond where I was going to take it. This is a whole nother planet of like way more complex. So it was, to me, it was okay. He's getting into this. Let's see what there is.
Yeah.
You know, and I think I was just really hesitant to use it at first because it was different.
Mm-hmm.
And I needed to take the time to learn it. But once I got the hang of it, that's my go-to app now. I'm like, Photoshop, yeah, if I have to. Like if I'm running prints for someone, I'll go through Photoshop, but it's about it. I was actually thinking about canceling my Adobe subscription just because I never really used it. But yeah, we've got a whole bunch of comments in the YouTube from Lost Boy Mobile Tattoo, Love Tattoo Smart, saves so much time with stuff I have bought off there, so much stuff to help artists. Love the Spit Shade brush set. 3D models are changing the game.
Yeah, those are really exciting.
Yeah, he says, I'd love to know what their plan for the future of offering 3D models on their site. It could open doors for marketing content if they came out with some sets that showcase their merch or prints. So,
okay.
Yeah,
So like,
I mean, who knows, man?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's an exciting future that like Procreate is getting into like that aspect of it. I mean, but that's the thing. We're kind of at mercy of how they develop it. It's kind of crazy that like pretty much every tattooer uses Procreate, but it doesn't seem like we're really on like Procreate's radar too much. Like it's not like they're catering to tattooists, but I mean, like just the capabilities that they already have is like exciting. That you can like mess around with like the lighting environment of it and like import your assets. And I mean, obviously that's just like kind of makes you excited for what the future would be. Cause like right now it's only one object in there, but as soon as you're able to like sort of get multiple ones in there and sort of create like a whole environment of stuff, like it goes from just designing like directly on a human 3D model into basically anything, kind of how like 3D is already used, like with reference, just sort of manipulating a model for the perfect reference, like creating whatever lighting environment you want. So that's the hope with like Procreate. They keep going deeper and deeper into that, the possibilities of 3D, because obviously there's like so many different platforms that you can do a lot with, whether it's like sculpting or manipulating any sort of model. So hopefully Procreate stays on that route, because that's really what would be exciting to us, is just like to because Procreate is kind of like how we were just talking about, how it sort of simplifies everything and becomes like so commonly used because it takes what's best from all these different platforms. So if they're able to do that with Procreate, really we'll be able to make as many tattoo friendly and user friendly assets as we can. And we're already sort of looking into that, like what other assets could we produce with like the current capability, and that sort of goes into like the referencing, like I was talking about, like pretty much how our reference packs already are. Like say we have like a Japanese volume 1 or like a rose kit or something like that, like being able to create a pack of 3D models for say like whatever the common reference material might be, just to be able to create a diverse pack of those, and then you can manipulate them in 3D to create that reference that you're looking for, or to at least like show to a client or something like that. Like, oh, so you want like this specific subject matter, this is how I would manipulate it in that way. So it's kind of just a more advanced version of the 2D. But like I said, that's with like the current capabilities. Who knows how Procreate really will expand in that. But yeah, it's been exciting. It's definitely like, it's a tough project though, because like it's a brand new platform for the 3D. So like we really had to do a lot of like R&D developing for like, all right, what is Procreate 3D actually capable of? Like what's the back end actually look like? So that takes like working with just multiple like 3D experts. And I mean, as far as I know, being like one of the first to like really dive really deep into that, like Procreate specific functionalities of the 3D, because it was brand new. So we couldn't really like crack into the back end preemptively. But to be able to have like an expert team, and that's sort of what like makes Russ and Tattoo Smart so great, is that he's like willing to really take the time and make sure the quality product that's useful for tattooers and like solving problems and saving time, because it's not like we're just making products for fun. Like the goal is to make artists' lives easier and I guess like expand the horizon of what's possible, really. So yeah, we're sort of already exploring those options, but it's definitely a discovery process of like what's capable and what would be useful. So we're, as long as Procreate stays on the road, we're going to do the same.
Which is awesome. Yeah, we've got quite a number of additional comments in here. Tattoo Smart is the future of tattoo art by James Wisdom. Awesome. I love my new brush sets. Thanks, Tattoo Smart.
Nice.
How would someone go about submitting a pack? I do 3D modeling on that platform. So I would say reach out to Tattoo Smart and just definitely open up that dialogue.
Yeah, totally. Like our Instagram DMs, we're always getting like stuff like that. That gets a little buried at times. Like Instagram just can be a bit messy. We always have our support email. But yeah, it's always great to hear people like reaching out with their ideas and stuff. Because like I was saying, that's our goal, is to like sort of solve problems, not just like create stuff for the hell of it. So like to be able to get that feedback and what people are already doing in that space, like yeah, we love having those kind of conversations and seeing what's possible and really exploring working with people, because it takes a village to make something great, really. So you gotta, that's kind of my role, really, is to like add to that, like being able to hear feedback and connect people who, like I said, are already in the space doing things with us to work together collectively. So yeah, we love hearing any ideas, really, any feedback, any possibilities of working together and stuff like that. We always have an open inbox for that.
Yeah, I think you really hit the nail on the head there. It really does take a village. You know, it takes a whole community per se, you know, to really start to move things forward in a positive direction.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether it's getting advice from someone on something, or you know, reaching out to other artists for critiques. You know, a lot of the reason why the tattoo industry has progressed to the level it has, personal opinion here, is because of the community involvement, right? You know, when you get so many different people, I was just talking to, who was it? John Clue up at the Deadly Tattoo Convention.
Nice.
About the same thing. You know, we were going back and forth about using Procreate, and he's a big Procreate user as well. And I was talking to him about, you know, different apps that, you know, were really, really helpful for printing off large scale stencils, such as Corey Ferguson's tattoo print system. It's absolutely incredible how there are a ton of artists out there that, you know, just could benefit so much from different input from other people.
Yeah.
Like he had never heard of that. And I was like, well, if you want a demo or something, like hit me up. I gave him my number, and, you know, also wanted to take him out to dinner the next time he was back in the area, you know, and just catch up with him, just, you know, talk to him. Really awesome dude, by the way. If you ever get the chance, definitely hit up John. Super, super awesome guy. But yeah, it takes a village, you know. It's running into someone that has a level of knowledge about a specific thing that maybe you want to learn more about, and then, you know, going through and taking the time to just sit down and ask them questions.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's all about just having those conversations and like being open to it. I mean, it's like no secret that like sort of like you were saying with like an iPad and Procreate, like there's definitely that hesitation to being open to like all these new ideas for losing like what's special about tattooing and just turning it into, I don't know, like just losing its essence, really. But that's what makes it great, is that everyone cares so deeply. And like, if they are open to having those conversations, like to be able to preserve what it is and like at the same time be open to what can make it like the best it could possibly be. Like, I just love having those conversations. That's what makes this like this role that I have in Tattoo Smart just like unbelievable, is because I have like that same level of like love and care for tattooing. So to be able to facilitate those conversations and get feedback and kind of connect the right people like that is something really cool to see, like what the results of that will be. So yeah, it's always awesome.
It is, man. And, you know, I think that's one of the reasons why I think I've been so impressed with Tattoo Smart and just what they're accomplishing. And I'm not like, you know, trying to fanboy out here, but it's, you know, it's really started to change the game. And once again, you hit a great point when you said, you know, there is going to be hesitation. There is. That's going to be natural with everything.
Totally.
People were hesitant to drive cars at first. You know, they didn't, they were like, but what happens? Like, do I have to like water it? Do I have to like, you know, what do I do to park it? You know, people were very hesitant about it at first, and look at it now. It's become a necessity.
Yeah,
because people were adopting it, and people were really starting to embrace it because they saw the benefit.
It's that whole like natural curve of like early adapters, and then like the bulk people joining in on it, and then like the late people. And I mean, like tattooing is no different from that. It's just so I mean, like we always kind of have to remind ourselves that if we get like some angry Facebook comments or something like that, like it's completely understandable. Like it's not like we blame anyone for that, for like sort of being critical of new ideas. Like that's totally natural. But yeah, it's just sort of what you got to do is like test and get the people who are excited about it and get some feedback and make it the best that it can. But yeah, it's completely natural to have those people who are a little hesitant at first.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the way it is with everything. I mean, there's always going to be a little bit of pushback at first. The question is, if you can move beyond that and see the bigger picture, yeah, it's not going to be quite as productive for you at first because there's going to be that learning curve. That's with everything.
Yeah. Exactly.
But when you start to look at the future advantages, and it's like, okay, well, if I look at computers, for example, right? If you take the time to learn how to use it, and to learn how to use email and Google Calendar and stuff like that, it's going to save you time in the long run. There's a learning curve. Yes, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be fun. And you're going to struggle at times, but it's going to have an overall advantage to everything that you do.
Yeah, definitely. And that's
I was talking to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, good.
I was going to say, I was talking to a studio owner the other day, a local studio owner, about taking their scheduling digital, right? And how that's going to start replacing a lot of these paper forms. You know, when you can sit down and say, okay, sign on the pad with your finger, it's going to take your photo. It's going to take a photo of you holding up your ID next to your face, you know, and it's going to ask you all of these questions. You'll hit submit, and it's going to be stored digitally. And then that way, if we need to know who it is, all we have to do is type it in and search.
Yeah.
And there's your form. You came in on this date at this time to get this done by this artist. Here's your form. You know, it's going to change everything, you know, but they were like, well, yeah, but like, you know, we don't really want to take everything like to that level because like what if people pay cash, right? What if people pay cash? Like, we don't want to declare that. We don't want to have to pay taxes on that.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, that's fine. You don't, that doesn't necessarily, your income from that doesn't have to be reported because that's not, you're not putting any monetary information on them. This is you consenting to get tattooed.
Yeah.
The price is between the artist and the person getting tattooed. That's on them, right? All this is saying is that, yes, you are consenting to this and you're waiving liability. This has nothing to do with money.
Yeah. That seems to be
so it's like,
that's sort of the underlying fear, I think, of a lot of it, is it just is gonna fuck with, like, if you go away from what you've like known to work and work for you, like you're sort of afraid of fucking your money up, you know what I mean? Like it obviously is a lot of like fear-based, but if you can streamline anything, like it's worth considering and testing at least. Like to be able to take the best of both worlds. Like you can still keep what you're doing in some ways, but if you're able to offload some of it to just a simpler process, like gotta have an open mind to some degree.
You have to, and you have to keep up with the times. If you don't, you're going to get bypassed very, very quickly.
Yeah, totally.
And you're going to start falling behind, and that's not good for anyone.
Yeah. I feel like it is sometimes hard to like pick your head up from what you're doing. Like a lot of these studio owners are already like tattooing full time and like operating this business. So to be able to like sort of sidestep that for a moment and like evaluate your systems, like definitely takes a level of awareness and like consciousness towards doing that. Otherwise, before you know it, it's gonna be 20 years later and you're the only one still doing like paper forms or something like that as your example. So it's definitely a conscious effort and definitely not easy for sure. Like I said, it's already hard to come by some free time. So you kind of just have to make that be a dedicated part of your process or how you do business, really.
Yeah, my favorite story is talking to a different studio owner about scheduling and getting on like some kind of like an electronic scheduler. And he's like, well, I was telling him I've been using my Google Calendar for years, and I've got like a couple of different ones set up so that I know like my tattoo appointments are separate from like my dentist appointment. Right?
Yeah.
So those are on two separate calendars, but on my phone, I can see all of them overlaid. Mm-hmm. So I know when if I'm going to have a dental appointment in the afternoon, I know I'm not going to schedule an appointment on that in that same block of time.
Yeah, totally.
And he's like, well, yeah, but what if the power goes out? And I'm like, dude, it's on your phone. The power in the studio can go out. That's fine. We all work wirelessly. Mm-hmm. We all have headlamps if we need them. We can still tattoo. Nothing is going to happen to this. It's in the ether. Okay. Yeah. It is out there in the digital cloud. If the power goes down, the power goes down, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. You can still edit and change and book and schedule everything straight from your phone.
I feel like scheduling is like a great example of that, of like making a change or something like that. Cause you have to uproot everything you're doing, like take say you're doing it by paper, you sort of have to take that big first step of like converting everything and then learning the system and then getting used to actually functioning with that. But at the end of the day, like you're saying, it's going to completely simplify things and hopefully save you that time that you spent learning it, investing it in a short amount of time to make it worth it. But yeah, the first step's always the hardest. That's for sure.
It is. It's getting over that initial fear though. And once you can overcome that, and that's with anything, once you can overcome that, you're golden. Mm-hmm. It's like when people first start tattooing. And Medusa and I have talked about this before. When people first get their feet wet with tattooing, they're terrified of it.
Yeah.
They're scared. They're like, well, what if I mess up? And it's not easy to get over that.
Yeah.
But over time, you start to get more comfortable with it. And you know what? That's part of the learning curve. Everything that's new is going to be scary at first. But that circles back to my philosophy of things aren't good or bad. They're just different.
Yeah.
That's where I really started to adapt that philosophy to everything in life, because when you start to look at things as neither good nor bad, just a different way of doing something, you eliminate that fear.
Yeah.
Like perfect example, coil machines versus rotary. Right.
Yeah.
People like one or the other. Sometimes they like both. And I'll quote Joe Cap on that one. Joe Cap's gone back and forth between coil machines and rotaries for a long time. And, he's found what he likes, and that's cool. But it's not that either one is good and neither one is bad. It's just a different way of doing something.
Yeah. Sometimes you need a different tool for a different job.
Exactly. So when you get over that, you're like, oh yeah, Numa. Yeah, I'll try that. Why not? Aaron Kane just came out with a new coil machine. I need a new coil machine. I'll try that liner. Why not? Cheyenne came out with a new one. Oh, variable stroke length. I'll give that a shot. Why not? But I know what I can use successfully, and I'll try different things. And it's not that anything is good or bad. You just have to get used to using it.
Yeah.
Just like everything else.
Sort of being like uncomfortable, or being comfortable with being uncomfortable in your process at times, like trying those new things. That's just how the discovery process works.
Absolutely. When you start to get comfortable, you stop growing.
Mm-hmm.
And when you stop growing, you become stagnant.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's kind of crazy
And
to see, like, how many people sort of identify with their process. Like you're saying with like the coils and rotaries, like the coil just sort of becomes a part of their identity and their job. But I mean, there's so many tools out there.
Yeah, and I've got friends of mine that are, you know, very, very traditional in the way that they like to apply tattoos. More power to them.
Yeah,
absolutely. I still get tattooed by the guys, and it's great. You know, it's fine. It does exactly what they need it to do, exactly the way that they need it done. And they see no reason to alter what they're doing because they're getting a great product out of it. And it's like, all right, more power to you. Absolutely. But it's not that they're scared, and they've used rotaries. They've used pen machines. They've used all different types of machines, you know, but they've found what they really enjoy using.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is the difference.
Totally. There's no shame in that, having your preferences. I mean, the 3D models we were talking about, that's sort of the same way. It's like a fully new process, like it's brand new to Procreate. So like it really does just take that openness to wanting to try it, and then like the commitment to experimentation, but like to be able to have easy access to a 3D model and like being able to switch back and forth between 2D and 3D. Like it's just really exciting for me because like I'm having to sort of have these conversations with people about how are you actually using it so that we can know how to improve it. But with it being a whole new process, it's sort of like a learning experience together, really, like doing the best we could to create it, learn about all the back end. But once it's actually available, like, okay, now how are our like supporters actually using this so we can improve it for them? But it takes that like openness. The early adapters who were waiting for the launch forever and then download them and try it out, like, I don't know, it's kind of a whole ecosystem of developing something and trying new things with these people who are open to it.
Yeah, that's it's something I haven't really gotten to play around with yet. Is like some of their 3D models. But that's because I'm not that I'm afraid of using it. It's just my question is, like, it would be great for me to display possible concepts.
Yeah.
But much like Russ has a different tier system for the different, you know, pricing plans that he does for tattoos. My question is, would that be beneficial for me to go that route?
Yeah.
I've got a pretty good idea of flow and form and fit on the body, where muscles lie, how things are going to end up looking. And that's all in my mind because I've been forced for so many years to visualize, like, okay, if I'm drawing out this half sleeve, where is this going to sit? How is it going to sit? What muscle groups are going to be where? How is this going to look when I put the stencil on the body? Is if this is a full wrap sleeve, what's going to sit on the bicep? What's going to sit on the tricep? Where's the elbow at? And a lot of that I break down into different measurements because you can see the form of the arm coming through with areas that might be bigger or smaller. You know, if you're measuring from the top of the deltoid to, you know, the elbow, it's going to start out. And if you plot those points down, you're going to come up with a flat shape that's going to fit all the way around the arm, you know, at different points. So you can see where it's going to sit.
Totally.
That's just me. But I've been forced to get used to that for so many years.
Exactly.
So that's kind of where I look at things. So I don't know if that would be the most beneficial for my situation. I'm not opposed to trying it.
No, totally. Like, and that's kind of the feedback that I've gotten. Like, whenever I reach out to people to sort of talk about it, it really all depends on like their workflow and even style, or like just as an example of like what you were saying, like there's this, he does a lot of tribal Polynesian type work. And he wasn't really necessarily rendering it out, but he just sort of be able to quickly run through possibilities because he's like doing so many freehand sketches, to be able to do that on your own time, like comfortably with your iPad and stuff. He's like been able to say it saved him like a ton of time in the freehand drawing process. But at the same time, I talked to like a geometric artist, and they were just saying like, sort of the same process about how they do a lot of hand stenciling, but they have like a very specific pose of the arm. So because of like the arm, like the 3D model arm isn't already like malleable, it's sort of a stuck position, like it just doesn't fit into their workflow, just from the aspects of it. So it really all depends on, like I said, the work process you're already doing and maybe new things you want to try. But at the very least, they're a lot of fun to play around with. And sort of like you're mentioning, to show it off to clients, like at the very least, like you've been doing it forever and know how to map it out. But if you show someone like a client a flat design, they're not going to have that same sort of visualization. So it sort of serves.
And that happens more often than not, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So like, wait a second. Okay, but how is this going to look when it's on me?
Yeah, totally. And like some people are totally fine trusting their artists and stuff, but there's plenty of like, I'm sure, hesitant clients out there that are like, oh man, I'm having a hard time actually seeing the end result. So they're a little hesitant to commit. But yeah, like I said, it's brand new, so it's really going to be exciting to see where it all settles. Of like, okay, it was super useful for this, kind of like universally. It's like really good for these specific functions of depending on like the style or the artist or workflow or whatever. Yeah, so it's great to still be like getting the word out and have people testing it and getting that feedback, so we can just kind of keep making it better and better. That's the thing, really. It's a constant evolution. At least like Tattoo Smart is great about that. Like if we ever make an update, like we just put it right into the product, so anyone who ever bought it just gets like the updated best version of it.
Yeah, I noticed that with a couple of different brush packs that I've picked up. It's like, oh, you have an update out? Cool. So I just go through and I download it again, and
Yeah.
There's all the updates.
It's like waking up on Christmas morning, like it's already in your account. All you gotta do is walk down there and download it.
Yeah, it's like unwrapping a present for the first time, but a present that you've already gotten.
Yeah. That's how it was with like the
but it's brand new.
Yeah. Yeah, like we just did a bunch of new like spit shade set papers, like 33 brand new ones, and we just straight up dropped, like anyone who ever had it got access to the brand new ones. So it's pretty exciting to be able to, you make a one-time purchase, and sometimes it's the gift that just keeps on giving.
Yeah, I use that with a digital collaborative Flash page that I did with my friend out in Australia. And, I had like the underlying grainy watercolor texture, and then I had like all the overlay textures on top of that. And it looks like it was hand painted Flash. Yeah. And I'm like, yes, this is it. But it's all like individual 1-point designs. And by 1 point, I mean like individual start to finish, smaller designs. They're not like super big. But it was absolutely game changing. We've got a couple of other comments in here. Back on the machines, Nunya Business said, still getting used to my FK Irons rotary, has 3 cams for stroke. Still trying to figure out what's best for lining, shading, and packing. And, that's all about personal preference. I'm one of those guys. I like 1 stroke. I might use 3.2 or 3.5, and I can use it for everything. I just vary my technique. Other people like to have different stroke lengths for different things. It's totally personal preference. A lot of the people that I've talked to, all they need is like 1 nice medium length stroke, and that's all that's required. They've figured out how to use it, to do everything that they want. And I think that's, something that is pretty important, and it comes with time and getting used to things and be willing to adapt yourself to the equipment that you're using. Because the biggest variable in tattooing is the human element.
Yeah, totally.
So let's see what else we got. We got Casey says 3D has so much potential for marketing your designs. Yeah. Very true. He says it also helps with the flow too. And it can, if you're not already used to that and thinking three-dimensionally around an arm or a leg, it can definitely help you if you're still getting used to that. Guy had this section in his book that deals with direction and flow. Imagine that on a 3D model. Absolutely. Once again, that's something that, I started studying and committing to memory many, many moons ago. And, that's something I've kind of gotten used to. But absolutely, if you're starting to get into working with bigger areas and bigger projects, it's going to be a very valuable resource for you. Because it's going to show you where maybe you need a bit of a different flow or a different angle, or maybe this isn't going to really look right because it's going to be, at the wrong area for what you're trying to accomplish in the way that you want things to look.
Especially with like a full wrap or something like that too.
Yeah, and full wraps can get tricky, especially if you have to work around existing tattoos.
Yeah,
which is like a completely another complete beast of, wait a second, maybe I didn't plan this out very, very well. Let me go back through and reevaluate.
Yeah, and like to be able to do that like beforehand rather than like when you're stenciling and you're like, oh shit, or something like just to be able to do that preemptively. It's definitely a big advantage of those.
Nunya said, I'm just worried about beating up the skin. The coils are set up to give to the skin. The rotaries are unforgiving. That is true to an extent. And there have been different studies that have been done that have said that, yes, you can potentially cause more trauma to the skin by using a rotary. But what I have actually found is that when you vary your technique, when you start to look at and incorporate varying ways to stretch the skin, when you start to look at varying angles to hold your hand or hold the machine, you're going to eliminate a lot of the potential excess trauma. And if you're really that concerned about that much excess trauma, then I would suggest switching to a smaller pin. Maybe instead of using a number 12 long taper, switch over to using a number 10 or number 8. That way, you know for a fact that you can work over top of an area multiple times and you're not going to create, a hamburgered piece of skin. I know certain people out there that absolutely swear by number 12 medium taper for everything. Absolutely. And they're doing a lot of sick, huge projects where they're just blasting through everything. The techniques that they are using and the materials that they're using are allowing them to do that at a timely pace. More power to them. I like to build things up a little bit more and hit areas multiple times to make sure that, I've got the right gradient or I've got the right, tone of color in certain spots. That's just my personal preference. And that's fine. But if you're really that concerned about beating up the skin, then I would say go through, switch to a smaller pin. Yes, it's going to take you a little bit longer to execute the same design, but you're going to be able to do it without having that concern until you get used to using that type of a rotary. So 361 Inc. is joining. And cool. So they should be in just a minute, I believe. I'm not sure if that's Asia or not. From a very exclusive new tattoo community that has popped up. I don't know if it's really like super exclusive or not anymore. I don't know if there's, open signups yet or not. So I'm hesitant to even name drop, but
no, you're good.
So if I'm good and I have the official approval, what I want everyone to do watching right now is go take a look at Launchpad. Okay. Launchpad. It is the new Tattoo Smart community, and it is sick. It's powered by Circle. Everyone that's on there is a legit, verified, vetted artist. We all have, years worth of experience with different things. Some people are a little bit more technical savvy. Some people are a little bit more business strategy. There's a total collection of artists that are on there that have all of these different expertise from all over, people from New Zealand, people from the UK, people from all over the US and Canada. We're all kind of part of it, and it's really starting to get a lot of traction. And just about anything you can imagine, there's posts on different things like material reviews, machine reviews, pigment reviews. Even Hannah Wolf is on there, and she knows more about pigments than I think most laboratory scientists. Lauren Gregory is on there if you have questions about the original powder or different mixing solutions or, different products out there. She can help you out with pigments. Any number of us can help you out with different machine reviews. It's absolutely blowing up. That is Launchpad. Go take a look, sign up, give it a go. I think you're going to be impressed.
Yeah.
Personal opinion, of course. Not that I'm like a huge, not that I'm really trying to promote it or anything.
It was a good pitch. For sure.
I found it to be very, very helpful though. Very helpful.
Yeah, like you were saying, we haven't really put it out there too much yet. It's kind of like a controlled growth at this point. Similar, like I was saying with the 3D models, we have this application process, and we try to get as much feedback as possible of what people were trying to learn, what they want out of a community of fellow professional artists. So it's still sort of in that controlled, that's why it's sort of secret underground club at this point. It's more just all right, let's make sure it's functioning and running, and we're able to attend to these founding members. Just in the early stages. I think we're not even up on a month yet. It's a few weeks at this point. So yeah, if you are interested in joining, it's probably gonna be tough to be able to find. I think it might be in our, I don't know if it's in our story highlights, but the point is that you can always just shoot us a DM or email on Instagram, or a DM to our support at Tattoo Smart, and I'll make sure that you get the application link. And that application link is it's not it's it's got to be an expert level artist to be able to join. It's more about just a sense.
Shit, you guys let me in there.
Yeah, that one.
If you'll let me in,
are we sure
standards could be a little higher.
No, I vouched for you, so I made sure you got it in there.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. But it's more just that people have a sense of what it is that I guess their mentality in a way, so that it doesn't degrade into the all too common shit posting and just on the Facebook groups and stuff like that, the completely open public ones. It's more about we're vetting to make sure people, for one, are professional and that they belong in the group, and then just for one, that they are in the right headspace to help us achieve as a community the goal to push tattooing forward, and build each other up. Really, and that's not going to be possible if we just sort of. That's how Medusa's comment. That's funny. She's not going to shit post. We need that in writing. No, I'm just kidding. It's all about just sort of having that community aspect behind it. If you ever have a problem, you just have a space available to open up about these things that you're struggling with, and you'll be able to get. And that's sort of my job too, to connect you with people who are able to, like you were saying about Lauren with the inks and stuff, and Hannah, she's going to be doing a Science of Tattooing sort of ongoing series. We have an upcoming intro webinar with Hannah. And then it'd be great to sort of keep expanding on that, the ink specifically, bring in Hannah and have people like Lauren there to sort of have connect those two people to be able to have the most productive, valuable session out of it. So yeah, it's been really exciting to be able to open the gates finally and let people in and be able to start getting people connected. So yeah, you can expect to see us to finally post about it on social medias and stuff a little bit down the road. But yeah, we're just being very careful about the intention and growth and development of it. But it's been really exciting to see people come in there and get their feedback and see them like your example of the stencil printing system that you had. Like that was early on. That was like a few days in. Someone had a stencil printing question, and Jason right away was like, "Hey, has anyone heard of this app?" And then everyone was just fucking mind blown. And we were able to
and then other people were jumping in recommending the same thing, and it's like, well, someone might as well do a demo.
Yeah, and that was perfect. And that's what's great is that content will be able to like live in there forever. So if any new member joins like 10 years from now, they could always just Google or not Google. So there's like a search bar in there, and they'll just be able to search like large stencil printing, and boom, they can see Jason's expert demo walkthrough of this. And it was so cool to see everyone's reaction, because like everyone in there right away was like, man, I've already showed everyone at my shop this, like, thanks so much. This is gonna save me tons of time. And sort of like we were talking about processes earlier, everyone was like, holy shit, man, I've been wasting time in Photoshop for years, like breaking them down into different like sheet sizes and stuff. So that's what it's really all about, is like creating the space for people to open up about their problems, and then someone like in a friendly and like professional way really is going to be like, hey, this is something that I personally use that has worked for me, like, and you immediately get some great insight. So it's going to be cool to see that sort of grow, so we can keep seeing examples of that. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I was hesitant at first to mention it, just because I know that, I wasn't trying to like, start going through and doing a ton of promotion for it. I mentioned it to a couple of people up at Deadly. Nice. Just getting some feedback and just seeing if they, anyone might have some interest. Totally. There was some good reactions to it, which was awesome. Mm-hmm. But I know it's something that isn't really being pushed too much publicly yet. Mm-hmm. So I've always been hesitant to even mention it or name drop it while I've been doing these, but it's really starting to come together. You guys are on the right track with the way that you're doing everything, the way that you're approaching everything. It's really starting to become what I personally feel would be really beneficial for the community, and for the industry as a whole. We've all been a part of those public Facebook groups that are just like trash talk, where it doesn't matter what your opinion is. If you agree with someone, if you don't agree with someone, it doesn't matter how much experience you have or how well you tattoo. There's going to be someone in there that just talks shit on you the whole time.
Totally. Yeah.
I don't post on those groups. I might be a fly on the wall just to see if I can like maybe plug Reinventing or, plug Tattoo Smart or something like that. Yeah, but, there's always people out there that are going to have something negative to say.
And I feel like that's going to be one of the challenges. And I'm already like sort of working to address it, is that like we're going to have to sort of teach people to unlearn that. Like, hey, you don't have to like just hang out and sort of observe. Like, it's a completely different environment, basically. So it'll take like some education on my end, which is my role, and the whole point of me being involved is like to be able to connect on a personal level and be like, just be able to sort of educate them as they're coming in, like, hey, this isn't like what you're used to, I guess. Like this is a whole different thing, a whole different objective of like fully supporting each other and connecting like that. But I feel like it is going to take some of that sort of like gentle, encouraging nudges, like, hey, I know you're having this problem. Like, it's okay to open up. And then like it's cool to see the positive reaction from people, like pretty much the exact opposite of what you see on like the Facebook groups on a daily basis, where I'm just scrolling through my feed and it's always like people complaining about other people in there, just like knocking each other down.
Oh yeah. So, well, and I think that has a lot to do with a difference in mentality between the current generation of tattooers that are out there that are really becoming influential and that are really gaining a lot of traction, that are putting out unbelievable work. And a lot of the old school mentalities where it's like, you have to trash talk other people to make yourself look better so that people come to you to get tattooed, right? Because if you trash talk every other person and you point out all of their flaws and like, oh, well, you see this tiny little squiggle in a line here and this huge back piece with all of these other lines. Yeah, that guy's junk. And it's like, but you're not looking at it as a whole. You're picking out one tiny little squiggle in one tiny little area of one tiny little section of a tattoo, and you're evaluating the entire tattoo based on that.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah.
Like crazy. Really get with it.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, it all sort of stems from that like scarcity mindset. Like, man, I have to talk shit on anyone who's not necessarily, but I'm just being like as an example, like people, I don't know, it's just all too common to see that sort of shit talking to, for whatever reason, make themselves feel better, or like in their mind seems like that they're portraying themselves as better. But like a lot of people who see that are just going to be like, I don't really want to be around that type of thing. But we have like, and it's even like written into our rules specifically that like we encourage an abundance mindset where like we're all going to improve from like sharing these ideas and lifting each other up. Like you were saying, the people who observe it or the people who like outwardly ask questions, like that's the farthest thing is from wanting to have that scarcity mindset where like we're all about abundance and sharing.
Absolutely. I mean, and just because you have a difference of opinion, you know, that it doesn't mean that you have to say something negative. You know, I remember making a comment in a post about someone teaching their apprentice starting off with coil machines, right? And I found that really fascinating. I don't have any apprentices. I have never apprenticed anyone. I don't know anything about that. But I found it interesting that someone would go through and do that even though they don't use coils, and they haven't for many years. So I was curious about that, and you know, I was asking for further explanation. You know, was it just for the nostalgic purpose behind it, to know those roots and where people started, or is there like is there like some kind of a deeper scientific meaning behind it? You know, maybe as one of the comments said on YouTube, maybe it was more about the fact that certain coil machines have more give. So that's going to be a little bit more of an easier transition, right? And an easier way to start that involves less risk, you know, or maybe that's, you know, what that artist that's teaching is far more familiar with, and feels like they can control it a little bit better and teach a little bit better using that type of a machine over something like a rotary or a pen. You know, so I was asking all these questions to try to get a better idea behind it. And I'm not saying I disagree with it. You know, I don't disagree with that at all. Coming from the standpoint of not having an apprentice and never having one, not that I might not in the future, but it's not in my list of priorities right now. But coming from that kind of a standpoint and viewpoint, I'm wanting to know for my future reference, you know, not because I'm disagreeing, but just because I want to know more about this.
Totally.
And that's what I think is awesome about the community. You know, I'm not afraid to ask questions like that.
Exactly. Yeah, I was going to say that's like an ideal communication right there, where it's like just them posing a question, like kind of snowballs into like other people like you asking more questions to learn more, whether it's just, and that even helps like the original poster sort of like think about it more deeply. Like, okay, why am I like teaching the coils and things like that? And for an example, like we even in that topic even like snowballed further, where it's like a group of people got together, sort of talk about their apprenticeship experiences. And a lot of people were mentioning like the history aspect behind it and like that sort of education. So like the coils even to play into that anymore, but to see like light bulbs go off in other people's head, like, oh shit, like I hadn't even thought to like incorporate that into the process. Or if they are already teaching coils, like then being able to, for just like a practical purpose or something, or like the list of reasons you mentioned, but then to sort of have a group to add even more value to that with like the history behind it and just the value in learning that. So yeah, it's been great to see those like early levels of communication and just sort of brainstorming going on. And I like what Medusa had said. It was like about a sort of a support group for like that imposter syndrome, because that's what it's great about, like opening up about those kinds of things and realizing like, oh, you're not alone in how you feel in these things, or like that these questions are out there. Like it's not like you're just like left out. Like a lot of people are sometimes left wondering about these things. So to be able to have that like space for it has been really awesome. yeah, it definitely is going to require some, like I said, some unlearning of those sort of natural thought processes that artists in general have, or like specific to tattooers. So yeah, and there's definitely strength in community and numbers. So it's been really fun to be able to facilitate that and do our best to provide that for people. I'll go ahead and Medusa, I'll drop you the application link in the chat. And Jason, you're more than welcome to share it as well with, I don't know if there's a way to share that with the viewers here.
I definitely can.
Awesome. Yeah.
Even if I add a link after the fact to the description, I can always go through and do that.
Yeah, that's great.
But yeah, why don't that'll probably be an easier way to do it. So anyone that is watching right now, feel free to take a look at this description, probably about 20-30 minutes after this ends, so maybe around 3:30. Because I usually try to go until about 3, but I'll drop the actual application invitation link, and I'll post that up in the description of today's video, just so that you guys can go through and apply if you're interested. If you're not interested, that's fine. You don't have to be a part of it, but
yeah,
personally,
that's what's great about it. It's just like, it's for people who want to be there. Like, it's not like we're necessarily saying that like every tattooer needs to join a community to truly feel a part of the industry. It's just more for those people. And that's kind of why we've been like quiet about it on Instagram. Like, we've done a very like minimal advertising of it to really sort of start with that like super engaged, like sort of ideal type of member where they like are hungry to learn more and share and bounce ideas off each other. And that's why I'm completely comfortable like sharing it with your group here, because that's obviously like they're here showing up, they want to be involved and learn more. So it's like, it's exactly the same type of mindset that we have in Launchpad is definitely present in your group. So I'm more than happy to talk about it. You're welcome to share as much as you'd like.
I was going to say, the only reason why I haven't started adding that to the intro, and I was debating on that today, was just because I didn't know how widely you guys wanted to like start pushing it. Yeah. But I'll make a note for next Sunday to definitely go through and name drop it and mention it.
Awesome. Appreciate that a lot.
To try to get a little bit more exposure, because it's one of those, it's a community, right? And yes, there are a lot of people on there that have, expertise in certain areas, but the more people that join and the larger that knowledge base becomes, the more valuable that community becomes, because you're snowballing that knowledge level.
Yeah. I know like Russ is like giddy about that too. It's sort of just like consumed him. It seems like in a way he's just like, because you know how he is, he's always sort of got one eye in the present, one on like what's possible in the future. So like he's on there like interacting with people like crazy, but then like as soon as he starts talking about anything, he just starts to get into like, man, the future of Launchpad is going to be so exciting. Like the amount, like what it's going to grow to is really going to be super interesting to see. And it's cool that he's like obviously one of the leaders of it as well, but he's right in the trenches with it, with the rest of the members. So we're just trying to like eat, breathe, and live like what like these ideas like we're talking about of like just sort of community growth and lifting each other up and abundance mindset and all kinds of like great ideas. We're just trying to really, and that's kind of why it's like people seem like unsure about how much to talk about it, but it's really because we're like just so sort of hyper focused in the moment of like being in there and making sure everyone's sort of taken care of, that we haven't really thought about like bringing in those new people yet. But it's definitely like on the roadmap of the community, is just really making sure we have a super solid foundation of awesome people who are enjoying themselves and learning a lot and getting the feedback from those people, and then opening up the gates for another like launch type party or yeah, whatever you would call it, like sort of an admission of people to be a much more like open one. And that's whenever you'll get that sort of boom of new members. But it's always going to be that the sort of application vetting process, just so we can keep it as focused on these like values that we're trying to lead. So it's never like it's going to be a flood of people and then it turns into a Facebook group of toxicity. We would definitely have to do some extermination if something like that, if that was the case, because like that these underlying values are really what's driving this whole thing, really, because to see what's possible, you really, like just generally speaking, to see what's possible as far as growth, you really need such a broad scope of experiences and expertise, and that's where like the magic happens. And that's sort of what we keep comparing it to, is like the conventions where you're kind of in your own bubble doing your own thing for the longest time, but then once you like come together with people who are just as driven and determined as you, and you start to have these like conversations that really impact your career, like just continuously forever, just sort of stick in the back of your mind. Like we're trying to make like an accessible version of that through the community. So yeah, it's definitely gonna be exciting to keep it growing and take it out into the real world.
Yeah, it's you know, it's one of those things, and I've always been a firm believer in community growth, community knowledge base, helping and supporting. I've always had that kind of a mindset, because that's where you're really going to get the most growth and knowledge.
Yeah.
And that's because that's what I've experienced through conventions, through sitting down and having breakfast with different artists in different places. You know, going out to the London show and sitting down and watching Bill Canales, you know, free-handed dragon sleeve on someone and then knock it out to completion in 8 hours. It's like, all right, I need to pay attention to this. And I want to ask this guy every conceivable question. Like, why are you using that over this? Why are you moving like that over this? Why are you running it like that over this? You know, what are you thinking about when you're drawing this portion on here? How are you deciding where you put your background wind bars?
Yeah.
Or sitting down and watching someone like James Tex and Steve Moore knock out a 3-day collaborative dual thigh piece that's out of this world, unbelievable. Yeah. Right? How are they doing that? What challenges are they facing when they're doing these things? You know, like, are they worried about, okay, if I'm working here, or you working there, like what's their communication level like? Or are their minds just so in sync at that point that it's like they're one individual with 4 hands? And that's what it ended up being like. And that was a whole different experience. Or watching Fibs and Jay Marceau do a dual full back from the top of the butt cheek to the ankle, dual back of the leg piece, start to finish in 2 days.
That's great.
Like, you know, what kind of challenges were they facing for that? What things did they really need to sit down and discuss? What kind of communication level was there? Did they have an idea already drawn out, or did they just show up and say, well, let's do an octopus. Okay, cool. And we'll throw some waves around it and some water. Great idea. Let's start drawing. Like, where do these concepts come from? Right. But by sitting down and watching them work and asking them questions as they're working, you learn so much more valuable information than if you were to just go through and like look at their picture and be like, oh, okay, that's cool. You know, you don't, and then maybe sending them a DM on Instagram and being like, hey, how'd you do that?
Yeah, exactly.
You're not going to get too much out of that response.
And that's what's like really great about conventions too, is that like, I mean, people are so caught up like on Instagram, it's so hard to get through to people at times, but then like, say you see them at a show and you just walk up and talk, and like, they turn out to be like such down to earth, like cool people. And that's really what, like, in a way, what had to have helped them get that far along. So yeah, it's just like those types of experiences, what's really sort of inspired this type of community behind it, is that to be able to, because even people at that level, like, so that's kind of our goal, is to be able to meet anyone wherever they are, because I guarantee like the people at that level that you're like aspiring to talk to, it's not like questions ever stop. Like, you're always going to sort of have questions every step along the way of your journey. And that's why we're trying to sort of cover as much as we can in art and design, business, professional development. And not I guess not so surprisingly, is that like a lot of people voiced a want and a need for like wanting just to connect with people on like a personal level, and so they don't feel alone, like they're in their own bubble. And that sort of like goes the whole way from just early tattooers all the way up to these experts who have just crushing it at every level. They still want to feel connected and like they're making an impact on the craft that they've devoted their life to. So yeah, it's just cool to see like such a great comparison in the real world. That kind of gives us hope for what's possible for this kind of thing.
Yeah, it's I'm a firm believer in this community, and that's why, I'm not afraid to mention it and advocate for it. And there's several people out there that, I've mentioned it to, and, brought it up to, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But it's, I think it's really going to start changing the game. And I'd love to like figure out a convention to get you out to and just walk around and talk to people and,
Oh, totally, dude.
Do some networking like that. I think we'd have an absolute blast.
Yeah, for sure. Like that's what I'm really excited for is like, I've been doing some conventions this year and as soon as you started talking about the ones at the beginning, like I will be at some of those, and hopefully like Hell City Phoenix, I'll for sure be at. And that's something I'm like already like passionate about doing. So to be able to have something like constructive and actually concrete to be able to talk to them about, it's going to be really exciting. And even like on the flip side of that too, like kind of taking the community out into the real world, and like it'll be interesting to see how it goes, at least develop. I mean, but like to start planning these meetups at conventions where like everyone's going to. I guarantee there will be at least like a handful at Hell City Phoenix, like we mentioned. A few other shows. Puerto Rico, I'll be there too, so I'll definitely be.
Oh, will you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've been there, I think twice, and I fucking absolutely love it. I tell like everybody who's into conventions, I'm like, look, listen, Puerto Rico, you got to be there. Like it sounds like it's so like far away and distant, but I absolutely love it. Like it's totally worth it.
Yeah, I'm glad I sort of got Puerto Rico show.
Oh yeah,
it's a game changer, man. I know 2 artists specifically that had their entire career change. Really? Just from talking to artists at Puerto Rico.
Oh yeah.
Like it, like, and, without like getting too specific here, Victor Chill was at the Puerto Rico show. I think that was 2018.
Yeah, I think so.
Along with Kalle Corson from, I want to say Sweden. Kalle was there. Phibbs was there, Jay Marceau was there, James Tex, Dave Tevenaugh. And I mean, just having the opportunity to talk to those people in real time, have them walk around and like look at you and what you're doing as you're working.
Yeah.
Was like mind altering. But it really did have a monumental effect on a couple of artists that I know personally. Yeah, they were like, working at that show changed my life.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, buddy.
Yeah, I feel like it is pretty unique in that way. Like everyone, like the after party type stuff, like it's the same exact thing that you were saying. Like I've just been able to meet, it always feels surreal there, like talking and just being in the same like bar, just hanging out with all these just incredible artists from all over the world. And Puerto Rico is like beautiful too. It's an amazing, like couldn't be in a better place either. Everything about that show I just really, really enjoy. It kind of feels like I don't know, it's like a real personal like get together. Like it's not like it's too overcrowded at this point. I mean, it might get to that point where the word gets out enough, like people like us talk about it enough that it becomes crazy. But like I remember in past years, just unreal artists being there, and almost everyone having like walk up ability to like get something done from them, or like just like you're saying, sit and talk to them or connect. Like everyone's just there chilling, having a great time, and putting out some amazing stuff too. I think that was actually the first time I ever met Russ, and then like that snowballed into what it is now. So I guess I could say my life's been changed.
Russ was there that year too. I forgot about that.
He was doing like a crazy like black and gray back piece too, which is kind of out of the norm for him. But it was he was there at least 1 or 2 years. So yeah, it's
that was he was there 2018.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and he didn't come back for 2019.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I remember him being there. That was the first time I ever actually like shook his hand in person.
Yeah.
And I was like fanboying so hard that entire show. It was not funny. Yeah. I was speechless. I was like, hi, you're the guy with the things. Like I didn't know what to say. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was there. not on that kind of a level with certain people, but it was kind of intimidating. I'm not going to lie, but it was a great experience. I would say this, anyone that does feel like going and intends on going for the after parties and all that stuff, beware of sand fleas.
Ooh. Luckily, I've avoided that. I got some gnarly bug bites last time I was there, but still worth it.
Sand fleas from the beach.
It could have been
for the after party that Monday.
That after party is fucking amazing.
If you went out onto the sandy beach at all, you got eaten alive by sand fleas.
That had to have been
and
what
that's,
it was.
That's what was causing those. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. I know people that had fresh tattoos that had just gotten tattooed at that show. And they were terrified that their tattoo was like all types of infected and like what's going on here. And it's like, no, those are flea bites.
Yeah.
And
no,
you
I did that exact thing.
By sand fleas.
Yeah.
So like I stayed near the pool. I ventured onto the sand for like all of 20 minutes, realized what was going on, and then went right back to the pool.
I've never heard of that, but I guarantee that's what it was. Like my ankles and both my wrists were just bit up. Yeah, it's totally worth it. Especially that after party is so fucking cool. Like everyone's just hanging out, and it's like a who's who of just crazy artists too. But everyone's just chilling, having a good time. Like I can totally relate to that fear of like talking to people, like you mentioned. Like that's most like Hell City is sort of the same way, where like I go and it's just a fucking laundry list of people that you just admire on Instagram and have known them forever. And then you get there and you're like, oh man, I want to have a conversation, but then you just sort of lock up and you're like, oh man, like the fanboying kicks in for sure.
Oh yeah, dude, hardcore, man. Yeah, highly recommend Puerto Rico. I'll be down there again this year. Come and visit Forest as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if Tattoo Smart's going to have a booth there or not, but the thing that I really like about Puerto Rico the most, they are extremely selective about who they allow into that show.
Yeah.
Like they are looking for very top-notch, very qualified artists that are at the top of their game, that are doing everything right, that are really trying to push the boundaries of what tattooing is. And that's one thing I really respect about it.
Yeah. Totally.
You get a lot of shows out there and a lot of conventions that are out there that they don't care. They're there to fill up the booths. They need to have a certain number of booths full in order to make their money back for the venue, all of the concessions, the signage, all the advertising. So, and if they're slacking and some scratcher from down the street shows up and wants a booth, they'll sell them a booth. It's like, you don't even have to be a tattooer at some shows to have a booth at a show. You can be a mechanic or an HVAC guy, and you can get a booth at certain tattoo shows. Puerto Rico is very heavily vetted.
Yeah.
They have very specific criteria, very, very specific standards that artists need to meet in order to be accepted into that. Not saying you can't go down there and visit and hang out with all of the artists, because that in and of itself is an incredible time.
Yeah.
That's all I did up at the Deadly show. I didn't have a booth.
Oh, really?
I just went up there and hung out. Yeah. I just went up there, hung out, was hanging out, learning, networking, doing some live convention coverage. I got tattooed all day Saturday. That was amazing. And once again, very similar kind of thing. Apex of tattooing for certain styles. You'll find certain people there depending on what kind of styles you gravitate towards.
Yeah.
If you like a lot more of like realism and color realism and like really dark black work and stuff like that, I'm sure you can find a couple of artists that'll be there that are doing that. But a lot of it definitely centers more along like illustrative tattooing, new school, and like Japanese influenced.
And Puerto Rico, you mean, or Deadly?
Yeah. Both, actually.
Yeah.
Both. You will find a lot more fine line black and gray artists at the the Puerto Rico show.
Mhm.
Deadly was almost purely illustrative. A lot of very heavily, for lack of a better term, a lot of very heavy Japanese influence in a lot of work that was being done.
Mhm.
A lot of very, not so much traditional work, but just a lot of very solid, like neo-trad kind of stuff was being done.
Yeah.
So that was really incredible. But yeah, and it's something I always try to tell people about whenever they're looking at shows.
Mhm.
It's like, take a look at the majority of artists that are going to be there and look at what styles of tattooing are going to be very prominent.
Mhm. Yeah.
I've made the mistake of signing up for shows before that were a very large part, like hand poke geometric stuff, black and gray realism. And I think there was a couple of people there that were doing freehand custom lettering. And I showed up and I was doing like illustrative, like neo-trad stuff,
Mhm.
a lot of very heavily influenced like Japanese style work. And everyone was like, that's cool. And just moved on.
Yeah.
You know, like I think I did 3 tattoos all weekend. It was a good experience and I got to meet a lot of really awesome people.
Mhm.
But if you're going there and you want to try to turn a profit, take a look at what's being done. Take a look at how they're advertising it, and take a look at some of the headlining artists. That'll give you a very, very good indication of what type of a show that's going to be.
Yeah.
Puerto Rico's got a very good mix. They've got some bio guys. They've got some illustrative guys, some neo-trad guys. They've got a couple of realism guys. They've got a lot of very, very illustrative Japanese guys.
Yeah. Mhm.
You know, but these are guys from all over the world.
Yeah.
You know, Dalmiro was there one year, Dalmiro Dalmont, from Europe, who does beautiful Japanese influenced illustrative work. I mean, just all of these guys, and they're really pushing the bounds of what's being done. But you have other guys that are going to be there, like my friend Dante, who works over at Red Tree. He does a lot of very fine line black and gray realism. Herling Kantner is going to be there this year. He can do both neo-trad and fine line black and gray stuff. You know, I've been friends with Herlin for a little bit now, a couple of years. Great guy, super talented, great story behind him too. Maybe I'll schedule him for an interview. But you know, there's going to be something there for everyone.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is what I like, but it's all very skilled artists.
Yeah, totally.
Which is, you know, mind blowing to me that I got accepted to work it. But you know, and not that I'm saying I'm not, you know, getting up there, but you know, I recognize I still have more to learn, and you know, I'm not afraid of growth, and you know, busting my butt to be better at what I do. But that all circles around and comes back to, you know, the community.
Oh, totally.
You know, getting critiques from people, to me, I think is a great way to go about improving what you do.
Yeah. Totally.
You know, having guys sit down like Russ did. I posted up a painting I was working on.
Mhm.
And Russ gave me a great critique of what could be improved and what direction he could see it going in. And it was awesome. It was very influential.
Mhm.
You know, and other people chimed in, and it was like, next thing I know, I've got like all of these people giving me advice on different directions I can take it. And it's like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
All I did was make one post and I've got, you know, 8 or 9 different people commenting and giving me advice.
Mhm. Yeah, that like broad range of perspectives is like awesome, because then it's like up to you to like pick and choose what really fits into what you were trying to do, or what you know works for you. But yeah, anytime you can get some fresh eyes and like a fresh perspective is definitely kind of priceless in a way, really. Like kind of to seek out, you don't really have to seek out those people, like you're saying, you just kind of plop a question in there, and people are pretty good about that. Because same with like the conventions, like you're saying, like I think that like people who put on a good show are sort of able to, whenever you apply, they look at you and they can tell that like that's what you're trying to do is get better, like put yourself around those people to be able to learn and get as much from it. So like they definitely see and understand that and are able to let those kinds of people in as well, because they're going to make the most of it and make it a great show, not just like the top of the line type of folks, but it takes like those hungry people as well. Like that's what makes for an awesome show. And like Yalzi and Fibs for the Puerto Rico show are awesome at it. Like it's definitely
they absolutely
one of my favorites.
I still won't ever believe how I met Fibs the first time. I was out at a show in Rome, and I'm one of those tattoo artists that like I don't take vacations unless tattooing of some type is involved. Right? My version of like a relaxing vacation is traveling to another country and going to a tattoo convention.
Yeah.
Like that's my version of a vacation. I don't go and sit on beaches. I don't go, and just do nothing. I'm actively out, trying to learn more and go and visit these people and, see what's going on over here in this corner of the world.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. That is my version of a vacay.
Yeah. Totally.
It's not everyone's cup of tea. It's probably why I've, been single for so long, and that's okay. But
so
that's
really...
you get it,
Yeah. My vacation's getting like fucking tattooed for 3 days in a row and smelling like a rotting corpse on the flight home. Like
there's nothing wrong with that. I see nothing wrong with that.
You just got to find the people who support that, and you just got to do attract the type of thing by doing it,
Absolutely. But I got tattooed by him. He was doing walk-ups all weekend in Rome. And I was like, wait, what? You're doing walk-ups all weekend? I was like, where is there like a sign-up sheet? Do I have to like take a number or something? Like, what's going on with this? Like, are you free now? Do you have someone on deck? Like, what's up? He's like, yeah, I've got time. What are you trying to get done? And I was like, a tattoo.
Yeah.
He's like, yes, I do those. What kind of tattoo? And we figured it out. We did a peony tattoo. Get it? Peony on my knee. Yeah. But yeah, it was interesting. But sat down, got tattooed by him for 4 hours. It was absolutely awesome. I'm not one of those people that can sit for 3 days in a row. Forrest, you are a better man than I am. I can do 2. I can't do 3.
Actually,
at 3, I'm just like, I'm out.
I think I've only done 2 days now that I think about it. I tried to book a 3-day, but like the artist couldn't get rid of the other person really. But I've done like 2 days with multiple artists, which I guess can stack up to like count the needle time, then it equates to more than 2 days basically. But yeah, I mean, that's like an idea of fun for me is just going, and it kind of sucks at times, like not being able to enjoy the convention because you're just like miserable a lot of the time, just kind of being stuck to the bed. But it's really an amazing experience. Like just kind of like you were saying about the like the regionality of the shows, like how it can vary so much. Like I'll just use that as an excuse. Like, oh, I can only get this art. Like instead of flying to some crazy part of the country or world, like I can get them at this convention in like an area I've never been before, to a convention I've never been to. So you're kind of able to like cross off multiple things on the bucket list just from like one convention or one tattoo. You know what I mean? Like that's why I commit so hard to it. Cause I'm like, all right, I'm going to kill as many birds with this stone as possible and get as much tattoo as I can. But yeah, it's definitely takes a high pain tolerance or just tolerance for bullshit, really. Yeah.
It's a lot of mental control.
Oh yeah.
Because if you can control your mind, you can sit for multiple days in a row.
Oh yeah.
It's not easy, but with practice, you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm one of those people. I'll only schedule like either a one-shot tattoo if they think it can get it done in one shot, or like a full day. That way I still have 2 full days to actually go and see and do different things at that show.
Yeah.
Maybe there's someone like Shane Ford giving like a lecture on drawing, right? Which he did up at the Deadly show. I couldn't make it, unfortunately, but that would be something that I would sign up for, and I would go and do that, you know, on one day and then walk around the show for a whole day. And then I would go and I would get tattooed the next day and, you know, come back the next day and just kind of show them how everything's settled down in case they wanted to get, you know, better pictures of it or whatever. Yeah. So that's kind of what I've come down to is I'll take one day or like one time slot and that's it. Because I am going to want to be there. I'm going to want to walk around. I'm going to want to network. Yeah. And I'm going to want to learn while I'm there and not just get tattooed. Yeah. But if you've had multiple artists work on you at one time for a whole day, to me, that counts as 2 days.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So once again, you're a better man than I am because I haven't gotten that yet. So hopefully with my back, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's what I still have mine open as well. And it's like, my mind is just racing with like the possibilities of it. Then that's kind of why I have to like commit to those like 2 conventions specifically. Cause it's kind of like a spectacle in a way, or just like, it just so happens that that's the only time. Cause that's really the difficult part with collaborations is lining them up at the same time. Like right now I'm trying to book one with artists, like sort of, they're in the same city. But to get them to line up like the booking and shit and just like making it happen has been extremely difficult. So at least like with the conventions, it's just sort of like the stars start to align, those kinds of things. But I totally feel it. Like it sort of is like takes away from the convention because it's hard enough just to like network with people and be able to talk to someone. Like there's so many people there and like everyone's doing their own thing that like it's hard enough just if you're going there just to network to be able to like. I have that problem at Hell City almost every year is that like, it's such a big, exciting, fun show that like, before I know it, the 3 days are over and I'm like, shit, I didn't even get to talk to this list of people, but it's always a great time regardless. Just got to make the most of it however you can.
Well, and that's always the challenge of every show, right? Is you got to make the most of it. Yeah. There's a very good chance you're not going to be able to get to everything or everyone. So trying to be selective about it and being like, okay, these are my top priorities and what I need to go and see and do. And these are my top priorities of who I need to talk to. And as long as those get done, great. But, you know, if I have time, I'm going to hit this person, and this person.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, but that's kind of why I like those smaller volume, higher quality shows.
Totally.
Because you do have an opportunity. It's not nearly as overwhelming. It's nowhere near as, I want to say as daunting of a task to get around and talk to everyone, because they're all in a much closer proximity. If they're not working right next to each other, which can really work in your favor sometimes.
Yeah.
That's what happened to me up at Deadly. Anne Marie Tattoo was there. I don't know if you follow her or not, but amazing illustrative work. And she was working right next to Christina Christie, both of which were on my like top tier list of people that I wanted to talk to. Mm-hmm. And it turns out that they were working in the same booth. I was like, oh, great. 2 birds, 1 stone. Let's go.
Yeah. I love those kind of experiences where you're like walking through a convention and you're like, oh shit, I didn't know they were coming. And then like, I don't know, it's just it's always an exciting surprise to be able to network with people like that, surprisingly.
Absolutely. You know, once again, that's why I love working and going to shows.
Totally.
Because you never really know who's going to be there. Mm. Sometimes people will show up randomly that you didn't think were going to be there and just walk around.
Yeah.
Like Teresa Sharp and Russ Abbott did at the Philly show this past year.
Yeah. Right? I was pissed. I missed my flight for that one.
Oh, dude. It's the Philly show. It's one of the biggest shows in the country. Yeah. Anyone that's ever worked at the Philly show knows what kind of chaos it can be, but it to me, it's the home show. Yeah. So, you know, I'm kind of like roped into it every year, but it was a great time. I was like, wait a second. That's Russ. Hold on. I got to go say hi real quick. Yeah. And I stopped mid tattoo and went over and said hi, shook his hand. And,
that's awesome.
You know, to me that it's like,
no, go ahead.
I was going to say, it was like, I didn't care what was going on. I was tattooing a friend of mine. So I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
But it was like I didn't think he was going to be there that early.
Yeah.
Or walk around the show at all. So it was just kind of happenstance that I got to meet him and shake it. And then I went around to everyone at the show and I was like, did you guys see Russ? Russ was walking around. And they were like, wait, what? I was like, yeah, Russ Abbott was just walking around. They were like, he's here. And people didn't even know it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's like even harder to catch out in the wild now. He's kind of like tired of sitting in all the convention plastic chairs, tattooing, breaking his back. So it's going to get like rarer and rarer to see him out there. So at least you got to take advantage of that. But at least with like Launchpad and Tattoo Smart, at least like it kind of gives them a different angle. So hopefully you'll see him and I out there manning the Tattoo Smart booth, so people can have those conversations with him.
That would be amazing. Absolutely amazing. One little convention hack I've always found is I like to go through on Amazon. I'll figure out what hotel I'm staying at. Mm-hmm. And then I'll go through usually like a week and a half before I fly out to the show. I'll go on Amazon and I'll order a more comfortable chair for like $30-$40.
Yeah.
Have that delivered to the hotel by Amazon. Mm-hmm. And then it's right there so that I can just sit in that all weekend and you just leave it at the show afterwards.
It's kind of worth it, like the $30-$40 for saving your back all weekend.
It's saving your back. It's giving you more comfort. It's, it's going to help you out all around. Yeah. So why not? It's going to be cheaper than renting a chair or renting a massage table.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very.
So I don't know. That's just one of the many little convention hacks I've found that can really be helpful. Sometimes getting Amazon to deliver it though can be a little bit difficult, but
yeah, it's like
for the price, it's a great way to do it.
You might even be able to just return it to Amazon afterwards if you're gonna.
You theoretically, yes, you could. I think some of those chairs are actually press fit, so it's kind of hard to disassemble unless you have the right tools.
That's true.
But otherwise it's like, yeah, fuck yeah. I want to sit in comfort. I don't want to be stuck in one of the metal folding chairs, hating my life the entire weekend. Yeah. And I don't want to have to bring a chair. So what's my other option?
Got to get creative. Which shows did you say you were doing again this year?
So I'll be doing Resurrection Island, which is in, I believe it's technically West Virginia, but it's in the Ohio Valley. That one's got a pretty decent lineup. I'm working that one with my friend Elaine from Detroit.
Nice.
Puerto Rico is in December, and I may try to make it out. I'll see if it's going to be financially feasible. But the Paris Tattoo Convention is going on again. Not the same one that's always been going on. It's hosted by a different company, quote unquote.
Yeah. Like people though, right? Or at least mostly.
Pretty much. Yeah. It's pretty much the same thing, just under a different name.
Yeah.
More or less for tax reasons because of COVID and bankruptcy and stuff like that. So it's going to be interesting, but I know my friend Clement from Malaysia, who I'm working at the Puerto Rico show with, is going to be working at the Paris show.
Nice.
So I'm going to see if that's going to be feasible financially and time wise too, because it'd be flying out there, doing that, flying back a day or two later, being at home for a week and a half, and then flying out to Puerto Rico.
Damn. Yeah. I think that's
so that would be quite a bit.
Yeah. Once they start getting like close, because it's kind of rough. Like I need like a week or two to unpack and just relax after a convention. But I know I'm doing like, are you doing Hell City Phoenix? Because I know I'm hitting Fort Wayne and then Hell City Phoenix, and that's going to be one of those like I get a week off and then back to Hell City.
Yeah. So I wanted to do Hell City Phoenix this year. Unfortunately, it's lands on the same weekend my mother's 70th birthday is.
Oh, okay.
And she's like, let's go to Niagara, and goes up lining over Niagara. And I'm like, all right, Mom, fine. In the back of my head, I'm like, no.
Yeah.
So
that's a fun one too. It's like one of those like a little more laid back than Columbus, but it's still like a great time to hang, and people are just a little more inclined to like relax and party, it seems like. And that's where all the real conversations come, I feel like, at the bar, at the pool.
yeah, that's and I know so many people that are going to be at the one in Phoenix, and I wanted to set it up so that one of my clients from the Philadelphia area actually moved out to Arizona to Phoenix. And I was trying to set something up with her to start a decent project on her, and at least get like the lines done so that when she comes back to this area in November, we could just sit down and start rocking on all the black and gray and color. Mm-hmm. And I was talking to her about getting like a neck to knees kitsune back piece. But that kind of fell through this year. So I think we may have to just start it in November. The cool thing is I'll probably be live streaming part of it with Seth Mushrush, who's a very good friend of mine, another crazy talented artist. I think he actually said he put through his application for Launchpad. I could be wrong, but I sent him all the info for it. We'll see what ends up happening with that. I'm not, it's still kind of up in the air. We don't have a deposit down or anything like that on it because I don't book out that far in advance. I almost refuse to. But, we'll see what happens. And I think we just lost Forrest. We did lose Forrest. Forrest left us.
Oh, no.
But I mean, I guess that's okay because I was going to wrap up in just a minute anyway. But yeah. How have you been, Medusa?
Good. I adopted a new boy.
I can see.
His name is Bazooka Jones, but you can call him Johnny if that's too much for you.
Bazooka Jones. Hello, Bazooka.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
I'm working on the Reinventing the Tattoo finals project right now for a pet memorial.
Very nice.
Yeah, I'm doing Cujo.
Aw. Great movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I'd go so far as to say that that's a memorial, but I mean, to each their own. Who am I to judge?
Somebody out there needs a Cujo memorial piece, and I've got their back.
You definitely think outside the box. No one can ever debate that.
Yeah, that was a really awesome interview. Listening into that was super, super cool.
Yeah, Forrest is a great guy. Oh, Kyle just popped into the YouTube.
I swear, Kyle Bernstein, our Kyle.
Yeah.
Ugh, as soon as he starts tattooing, we're all screwed.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, right. I'm a little scared.
Like hands down, it's gonna be like, I'm out, I quit, I'm done.
Yep.
I've got nothing.
Yeah, he hasn't
You've been doing it 3 months and you're Yeah, Kyle, if you're still listening, not fair, dude.
Yeah,
not
dude.
fair.
I'm like frantically trying to catch up and be like, I gotta get real good real fast because this kid's gonna give me a run for my money.
Well, I mean, there is something to be said for experience, and there's something to be said for the grind and getting on that grind and making the moves and doing the things. And you're doing it, Medusa. You've got it going on. You're making the moves. You're putting out quality work, and that's what matters.
Thanks. Well, now we just got to see if I get banned from Launchpad.
Do our best.
I mean, I do happen to know someone that's part of that, so
yeah, we know a guy.
Well, I know Forrest, who knows a guy
yeah.
who's like probably like mid-level there. So like,
We're pretty.
we might be able to pull some strings. We'll see.
I don't know.
Push the limits.
We found out Medusa's got an application, straight to the trash. You guys, let's launch a whole new forum. Who told her?
As much as you say that, Medusa, I've got a very strange feeling that you're going to be one of the most valuable people on there.
You got to be the one.
The question. I know you're giving me that stink face. I get it. There's a reason behind why I say that. You ask very good questions in a very straightforward manner to seek very interesting information and perspectives.
Okay.
Okay. That's valuable because that's going to add relevant, valuable content to the community.
Yeah. And it just like helps people too. Like the more it's not like just asking questions alone, like really just brings up a lot of light to a lot of other people. There's definitely a lot of value to that.
Yeah, well, I got all the stupid questions that nobody else was like ballsy enough to actually ask.
Yeah, so. What it takes. You'd be surprised. There's a lot of scaredy cats out
there. If you've asked yourself that question, and if you've ever wanted to know it, I can guarantee you at least 50 other people out there in the world have thought about that same question.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we got a last minute addition for us today. We got Kyle. Kyle's back. Hey, Kyle.
Hello, what's up?
Pretty good. Medusa and I have decided that when you start tattooing, we're going to have to make you tattoo one-handed just to give the rest of us a shot.
Non-dominant hand.
Yes, thank you. Non-dominant.
Do you want to hear some news that might help shift your perspective on that a bit?
Sure.
I start working at Red Tree on Tuesday.
I fucking knew it.
Congratulations,
As soon as I saw your Instagram story about being there, I was just like, damn it.
Hell yeah, man.
Very good. Yeah. Congratulations.
So I'm super appreciative. And then it just, started showing up and it led to now working in the warehouse.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Dude, that is your foot in the door.
Sweet. I'm going to make another order soon and hopefully you'll pack it.
I'll put a special note.
If you do, make sure you open everything. Open every cartridge, open every tube.
Just put your grummy little mitts all over it.
Cough on everything.
I'll put a granola bar in there though, don't worry.
Okay.
At the very least.
Half-eaten granola bar.
Now I have to come on out to the East Coast. I got to visit Red Tree now. You got to let me know when you actually start apprenticing one day, because I want one of your first tattoos.
Don't worry, you'll know when I do. I won't be silent.
Yeah. Well, you came in at just the right time. I'm actually going to get started wrapping things up here in just a minute.
Perfect.
Yeah, thank you, everyone that came in today. Forrest, thank you so much, man. You're always welcome on here every Sunday at 1. So
awesome.
Hopefully we get to see you more often.
Yeah, I'm always down.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I don't usually have too much to do on Sundays, which is why I host this. So I have to mow the lawn and go grocery shopping later, but
Sunday stuff.
That's my Sunday schedule. I host this, mow the lawn, and go grocery shopping. And that's it. That's all I do. And I sit down and I draw for the week.
My Sunday.
I don't know if I'd call it productive. I mean, these are kind of necessary things that I have to do, but I mean, beyond that, I just kind of sit around and eat ice cream and play with my cat.
That's what I'm about to do. Eat some ice cream.
Hell yeah. I'm going to do that too. Breakfast.
Ben and Jerry's, the Tonight Dough.
Oh,
that's the good stuff.
Or American Dream, 2 of my favorites.
American Dream. Netflix and Chill. This is actually really good.
That one's good. I do like that one. Yes.
Yeah.
You know
It's
what?
those little
I don't
pretzel
have
bites.
dietary restrictions, but I love the non-dairy ones that they make.
I mean,
Oh, the
yes.
froyos.
Yeah, those are fucking bomb.
No, the non-dairy
Yeah.
Ben and Jerry's, they have like
Yeah.
a bunch of essentially vegan and plant-based versions of all of their regular cups, and they're fucking spot on. They're perfect. They don't even taste like fake ice cream. Super good. That's how I got this belly.
Well, everyone, thank you very much for jumping in today. Always greatly appreciated. Once again, Forrest, I can't thank you enough, man. We always have great conversations anytime we get together and talk. Which, and this is an idea that just popped into my head. Forrest, I don't know if you drink or not. If you do, maybe we could get together with or try to figure something out so that we can do a live at location drunk critique that's beamed out with maybe a couple other guys jumping in virtually. Like maybe we'll get Bob to jump in and join us for the drunk critique. But I think that could be a really fun time.
Yeah, that sounds fun. I know Russ likes to have some drinks and talk some shit, so maybe I could talk him into
dude, who doesn't, right?
Yeah, classic past.
And I figure if we're in Puerto Rico, why not?
Oh yeah, definitely will be there. That's for sure. Doing some drinking and bullshitting, so count me in.
Well, needless to say, everyone, thank you guys very much for jumping in today. Anyone out there that's still watching, if you like today's show, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button or give us a follow on Facebook. For any artists that may still be watching out there, I will be posting the application link for the Launchpad Tattoo Smart community. Feel free to go through, submit your application, join the discussions. It's a great time. Lots of great information from lots of different artists all over the place. You'll probably see a whole bunch of names that you already recognize if you're already part of the Reinventing the Tattoo group. But yeah, I'll be posting that up in just a little bit. Thank you guys very much for watching us. Make sure to keep those hands busy and yeah, keep those hands moving. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Thanks, Jason.